Alright, this is your first lesson on statistics. This is your second examinable topic. So what was your first topic this year? Shares. Not in your exam. What was your second topic this year? Lines. That's not in your exam. Is finance in your exam? Yep, you have a DI due on Friday. You had a test done. That's the first examinable topic. This is your second examinable topic. You don't have an assignment on it. You have a test. That's it. And then one more topic after, which is very quick. You're going to be finished and revising with past exams by the end of term 3. You're going to be done this term. Okay? So there's two main parts to this topic, which is fitting models to data, and then the normal distribution. So people who have done methods before, they might be familiar with normal distribution, but I'm going to teach it from scratch anyway. So we need to start with defining some stuff. Bivariate data. Bivariate data is data where we can compare two different variables. So for example, the height of an athlete and the weight of an athlete. In general, what would be a fair thing to say about as your height increases, what would happen to your weight? Increases as well. There's just more of you. Okay? It's not going to be perfect. Is it going to go on forever as well? No. It should be like this. It should be like that. Pretty much. But is there sort of a limit to the height of people on Earth because of gravity and our bone structure and everything? So that's not going to go on to infinity. It's just going to stop somewhere. Okay? In these two variables, there's always, and hopefully you've done science up until year 10 at least, there's always an independent or an explanatory variable. That's the variable that causes change or explains the change in the other variable. Hopefully that's been explained to you in science previously. I've had a lot of you for Ignite, so I know that that's been the case. And dependent response variable, that's the variable that changes because of the independent variable. It responds to the independent variable. Okay? If this is a revision for you, really you shouldn't have to put this on your cheat sheet. Okay? This is a reminder because we're going to talk about these terms when we're doing the actual maths. Okay? What I'll do is I'll go over, just for the sake of the video, I'll go over that board and then I'll give you time. Okay? What we're doing, firstly, in this section of maths, is the idea of association between numerical variables. What's a numerical variable? It's one where the data is in number form. Is hair color a numerical variable? What's the data? It's going to be blonde, black. That's not a number. But a numerical variable could be the height of an athlete, measured in centimeters, feet, etc. Weight of an athlete, kilograms. In the first half of this topic, we're highly interested in how two different numerical variables are related on a scatter plot. So these are scatter plots. It's where you put the x data on one side, y data on the other, and you place the dots. Correlation is the word we use to describe the relationship between two numerical variables. Correlation is described by 5 characteristics. So the first is direction. Does anyone know what direction this data is going? Positive. Why is it positive? Because as the x data increases in size, what's happening to the y data? It's also increasing. What would this be then? Negative. So each year some people get tricked and they go, well, as the x data decreases in size, the y data, no. What's the x data doing as I go to the right? As the x is increasing, what happens to the y data? Decreases in a negative relationship. Could I draw an arrow through that mix of dots over there? No. No? So you'd say no direction. Okay? I'll give you some time to get what you need there. You look tired. paler than usual. No names. I only ever recorded one video where I accidentally said a kid's name when I had to censor it before upload, so it was just like talking, silence, talking. Maybe so maybe. So people can still better. So direction is one of the 5 characteristics we talk about. Another characteristic we talk about is linearity. Do the points fit a straight line? Do these points look like they're going to fit on a straight line? So you'd call that relationship linear. Would I use a straight line to follow those points? No, so non-linear. That's characteristic 2 out of 5. Characteristic 3, strength. The closeness of points to a trend. Are these all linear? All straight lines? All positive direction? Are the dots different distances from the line? Okay? So we can describe a correlation in terms of direction, linearity, but also strength. This would be weak. Because yes, the dots follow a positive linear direction, but they're not very close to that. What would this be? As far as I know, because you're young people, when you say mid, it means something. So what's a more formal word for something in the middle? Medium? No, we're not in the McDonald's. That's a medium. I'd like a medium correlation, please. Moderate? Have you heard of that term before? And then the last aspect we talk about in a correlation, second to last, outliers. I know with my classes that I've been very clear about what outliers are, but an outlier is a bit of data that doesn't follow the trend. Can you see the red line here is the trend? Is the data point 1, is that on the trend?
Yeah.
Is data point 2 on the trend? Is data point 3 on the trend? Are data points 1 and 3, are they far from the data though? Well, from the big bunch of data in the middle, are they far from? Yes? But they're not outliers because they're on trend. 2 is the outlier as it is away from trend. 1 and 3 are not outliers. Let's say this was like this graph was the height and weight of dogs or something. We just got like a freaking huge one and then a really tiny one, but they're on the trend as you get bigger or smaller than your weight changes, okay? The last thing, and then I can stop the video. The last thing is the idea of causality. These 5 properties that we just talk about, they talk about the correlation between 2 variables. They don't explain causes. Confirming causality means that we know that the changes in the independent variable actually explain the changes in the dependent variable. Only ever discuss relationships in terms of correlation. You can only state cause when you are told there's a cause or where there's a feasible explanation for a cause. So there's literally a website here called Spurious Correlations that indicate a number of correlations that are very strong, but they don't indicate cause. Is that a strong correlation? Are those dots following each other very strongly, very close? Do you think there's a feasible explanation to say that there's a relationship between US spending on space and technology and suicides by hanging, strangulation and suffocation? It's just a correlation. It doesn't mean that one causes the other. Number of people have drowned by falling into a pool. Films that Nicolas Cage appeared in. cheese consumption, number of people who died by becoming tangled in their bed sheets. They're correlations, but there's no causation there. Okay? You need to look in deeper. All we need to do in our subject is, when we say there's a strong correlation, we never say it's because of this. We never say it's a cause, we just say they're strongly correlated. Okay? So this is an actual example run. They found in New York there was a very strong correlation between ice cream sales and murders in 2009. You can see in the graph, they actually ran statistics on it. Okay? And so there was a bunch of news, the news, the fake news, etc., trying to make a story out of it, saying, oh, ice cream is causing people to kill each other. No, you have to look into it deeper to understand the causality. Because that's not causality, that's just a correlation. The causality is this. What would happen to the ice cream sales as the temperature increased? Gets higher? There'd be a direct correlation between sales and the heat. If I looked at a separate correlation and the number of murders correlated with the temperature, what do you think? The hotter it gets, people get arced up. So what they found is when they measured the number of homicides and the temperature, that was also a direct correlation. Because those two separate things are directly correlated, number of murders and heat and ice cream sales, what's the correlation going to be between ice cream sales and murder? Direct as well. But that's not the cause, okay? That's the cause. When we look deeper into it, that's the cause. But when we look at the graph, we only see that there's correlation there. Can I ask you, please, to note down those 5 things? Then I'll pause that video so I can do the next one.